All right, Ratatouille. Apparently, when rats aren't spreading disease or eating babies, they cook.
No, it's a ooey with a machine gun.
Rat-tat-tat-tat.
No, sorry.
Okay.
See, now that's worse than my rat tattoo joke.
No.
Oh, wait. Oh, I'm so off the ball, guys. Wah, wah. Dum, dum, shh.
What the hell, Carlisle? We were waiting.
Yeah. No, the thing about this movie is this. For years, we've been having this argument. You guys all love Pixar, and I think most of their movies are just okay. I think they're good, but not great. But even I have to admit that this movie's pretty awesome.
Really? Pretty awesome?
I loved this movie.
I'm curious as to why you thought it was pretty awesome.
Because it...
Wow, that was a first.
Y'all mark this down on the calendar.
I'm like, how do I... Because it was awesome. How do you define awesome? No,
It's sort of your job to define that.
It worked a lot differently than the typical Pixar formula. The typical Pixar formula is to take two weird things, anthropomorphize them, whether they be fish or whether they be toys or whether they be monsters, and have them be really great friends and go off on this weird adventure together.
You don't think that combining a rat with a chef is weird?
Yeah, you got a rat and a chef's ghost. I mean, how much? There's your weird partnership right there.
Well, but the thing is the partnership is different. The whole film isn't about the adventure. It's about the partnership, and it's about these two people with two very different skill sets trying to exist as one being. And it's a very different kind of original concept.
Here's the thing. Pixar has never made a bad film. At worst, they've made a 3.5-star film. This, I think, falls into the quality somewhat of their lesser films, which is still to say it's amazing. It really is. But that's really only because it kind of left the kids behind on this one. It's more mature than their other films in the subject matter, and it kind of forgets about the kids, which is a problem for a big-budget summer cartoon.
That's where it got weird for me. It's like the movie started out with rats doing things. Call me shallow, but it had rats doing antics.
Yeah.
And it was a kind of a cartoony thing, and I was having fun.
It's a little gross, though.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, when they show these rats in swarms, it's like Willard,
Yeah. And
but
they're not pretty rats either.
No, they're like all fat. I almost said fat Jewish rats, but
they're eating rotten garbage.
But they are.
What the hell, Mel Gibson?
I know, yeah. They're doing things that rats do. Yeah, rats aren't very pretty. They do what they do to get by. They get garbage and everything. But they got this one rat who's refined. He decides to go to France to where. Well, he gets exiled to France. Not even
Paris.
exiled. I mean Paris. Yeah. Let me start over again to tell you about this. Yeah, the movie starts out with rats doing rat things. They're eating garbage and everything. No, it's not pretty. But then you have the part where they actually go to Paris, where after the big blowout in Ratatouille or whatever. What's the rat's name?
Remy.
Yeah, when Remy, voiced by
Patton Oswalt.
In stereo. Yeah, no. When he gets his family in trouble and he gets separated and goes to Paris, he starts to discover his real talent for cooking. And then the movie becomes sort of a romantic comedy about cooking.
Let's not forget here the most important aspect of why this movie is good and that no one but Pixar could pull off what's good about this. Here's a movie about rats cooking for humans, and the French are the good guys. And yet it's still a good movie.
Leave it to Brad Bird. Now, this is the director who gave us The Incredibles, the single greatest Pixar movie ever made.
Absolutely.
And The Iron Giant, the only good animated thing to ever come out of Warner Brothers feature animation.
You know what? And see, based on their resume of The Incredibles and The Iron Giant, which I think are two of the greatest animated movies ever made, I was kind of disappointed by this movie. I mean, I love Pixar. And the thing about almost every Pixar movie, with the exception of Cars, and maybe it could be even argued there, is that there's always been, for me, something remarkable about it. And when I watched Ratatouille, I'm like, this is good and it's pretty, and yet there's nothing really remarkable. There's nothing that's really impressing me. And one of the things, like, I love Patton Oswalt. I thought he did some great voice talent, and I loved him in the beginning. Corey, like you said, all the stuff with the rats. But then the focus shifted from him to the other character, the bumbling doofus who he partners with. And once they're together, Patton Oswalt gets no more time. I mean, the rat doesn't talk when he's with humans. And the main character, this skinny spaz guy, he's not that interesting. He's kind of a doof that never really changed.
He's the child of a French chef who owns a restaurant in France, who's lived his whole life in France, with a restaurant full of other French-speaking people with French accents, and yet somehow he sounds like he's from Iowa.
Yeah, this dude is like every hipster, every American hipster that I hated. Like every clumsy guy. And that's the thing about it. This guy is so clumsy and so unappealing. And he really doesn't stop being clumsy. Like once the rat is gone, he goes back to like tearing up shit. And that got annoying after a while. But all that said, I mean, this movie does have a lot of integrity to it in its story making. I mean, it's still better than 90% of the stuff that's out there, especially for a summer film. I mean, they do concentrate on the story a lot. And the only problem that I have with that is that this is being pitched as a family film, and it really doesn't appeal to the kids in the second half. But who knows? Kids might love it anyway because it's a beautiful-looking movie.
Oh, I'm sure the kids will love it anyway. But the second half of the movie, it's almost just like a small independent or foreign film, like any kind of blasé romantic comedy. Matter of fact, they kind of crowbar a romance in here that doesn't even really seem to work and doesn't even have that much of a place with the rest of the story.
Well, the human characters are by far the least interesting characters in this film. Except for the sort of, not really villain, the food critic who's voiced by
Peter O'Toole.
The human characters on the whole completely uninteresting. The rats, on the other hand, are great and really funny. Every time it's just the rats, you're having a great time.
But that brings up a really interesting point in that Brad Bird does here what M. Night Shyamalan like grasped and tried desperately to do last summer in Lady in the Water, which was offer a commentary on critics, but then at the end offer a redemption of critics and getting to the root of what he feels the problem with critique is that there's a lack of love, that critics have fallen out of love with what they're there for, and it shows the great redemption of this character as he rediscovers his love of food.
I made that exact same connection you did when I saw it. I thought about how M. Night Shyamalan tried to do the same thing but got snarky with it and then fell on his ass.
Yeah, and Brad Bird did it right and actually makes you really feel for this critic at the end.
Damn, when that critic came in, because that's what we do. We sit up here and criticize stuff, but that critic came in all looking like Nosferatu and everything. I'm like, is that how I look to people?
It felt like a Tim Burton movie had accidentally crossed over into this film.
Yeah, it sure did.
Well, most critics act like they've come out of a Tim Burton movie, and some of the things he says are so great and are so unbelievably true. Like there is nothing greater than being able to completely and utterly destroy someone who deserves it, and it's kind of like. That's so true. It's like, hey, Tim Story, come here a second. I want to talk to you about Fantastic Four 2.
What's that dude who's on the Food Channel? Bam! What's it?
Emerald.
Yeah.
Bam!
Yeah, this movie is really like if you combine Willard with Emerald on the Food Network.
Now, the one character who I did like consistently throughout the movie, besides the critic, was the villain of the movie, the guy who's running the place, the little chef who's Ian Holm is doing his voice. But I thought that guy was great. He had lots of personality.
Oh, that little he looked like a little spastic Mexican. Yeah. And I got friends like that. That made me laugh. No, I don't want to look. I really did like the movie. I don't want to come across as I didn't. It confused me. It really did. I just wonder. I still don't know how people are going to accept this movie because it really does seem to be two different movies in one. It doesn't fit together as well as I think it should. But it's like I said. I'm talking from the perspective of, the perception of like a business. I'm talking of I'm trying to pitch a movie. As a movie itself, I think it works. I think like I said, I think it has like a lot better storytelling qualities than a lot of movies that are out there right now.
Yeah, like most Pixar films, it is actually a work of art as opposed to most of the other cartoons out there, which are just merchandise, really. And love this movie or just like it, because I really can't imagine hating it. You should see it.
Yeah, all the voices in this are great. Janine Garofalo does the French girl Colette, and I did not know that was her until I saw the credits. So, and the character designs in this movie just blew me away, man. I mean, if they ever captured the contempt of French people in a character, they did it with this movie. So, I mean, it's only time, in due time, we'll see how the movie does. But do I think it's one of Pixar's best? No, not at all.
Just make sure you've eaten before you go in.
Man, that's true. I was watching that. That rat was making me hungry.
He was making me hungry up until they had all the rats in the kitchen. And I'm like, hunger is gone. Terminated.
I got to say, this is my second favorite Pixar film of all time.
Really? Okay. as I was watching the movie, I really did think like, man, wouldn't it be great if rats really could cook? I mean, people.
Hell no.
No, hold on. This is coming from Corey. I mean, could you imagine the fact that he could have a home cooked meal every night? I mean, you've seen his apartment.
Yeah, people like me, people in the projects never have to go hungry again. Get roaches over there, fix his dessert.
Yeah, but then you got those ghetto rats going on, and it's like, you know.
Well, sure, they might be cooking some pig's feet or somebody's food.
As long as they washed up.
Yeah.
Rats could cook like the Galloping Gourmet, but I ain't gonna eat what the filthy motherfucker cooks.
No, get a
Sewer rat might bake some pumpkin pie, but I'd never know because I'd never eat food cooked by the filthy motherfucker.
You guys are just a bunch of ratists.
I hate to be the Grinch in it all. I mean, I did think it was a good movie, but to me, it lacked ambition. And honestly, I got a lot more out of Surf's Up. I thought that was the better movie of the two.
Honestly, I like Surf's Up better too, but
I think you guys are all on crack.
I like Surf's Up better too, but only by a narrow margin, and mainly just because the look of Surf's Up really blew me away more than anything else.
but you know what
And
this
the humor.
movie, but you know what this movie's trying to do is striving to be it's trying not to talk down to kids. It's actually striving to be a real film, and I think that's probably where they tried a little bit too hard.
I have enormous amounts of admiration for what they're doing as usual, though.
Yeah, no, I do.
I think if you guys saw this as just a film with just people, you wouldn't be so impressed with it.
I don't think it would have made a good film as people, but then again, you know, hardly any Pixar films would, except The Incredibles.
All right.
Yeah, it kicked in